So you're a new Toastmasters member and you're about to give your first Icebreaker speech. You're excited, but also probably wondering, how do you tell or present a speech that people will remember? And how do you move your audience? Don't worry, I got you. My name is Mahathir, your speaking coach, and let's break it down. Now, before we begin, the Icebreaker speech has two main purposes. Number one is for your club members to know who you are. And number two is for you to take your first step to speak in front of an audience. Now, I know it can be nerve-wracking in this experience, but please remember that your club members want you to succeed. So go up there and speak from the heart. So the question now is, how do you give your best icebreaker speech? I'm going to break it down into 4 simple steps. Step number 1 is to find your moving moments. What is a moving moment? A moving moment is basically a moment that moved you, whether emotionally or a moment that changes your beliefs, your behavior, your values. Moments like this. Everyone has a moving moment, and usually a moving moment happens when you experience some form of conflict in your life. For example, perhaps you would have gone through a moment that humbled you as a person. Or for example, you experienced failure, dejection, rejection. And I'm sure that every moving moment has shaped you to who you are today and has helped you to improve to be a better person. So the question you want to ask yourself here is, what was the moment that moved me in my life? Now, once you have that moving moment, which is typically a conflict moment in your life, the next question you want to ask yourself is, what did I learn from that experience? Did I learn to be kinder? Did I learn to face rejection head on and keep going? What was the learning lesson in those moments? Now, once you have that, I would consider that you have a point B in your story. Now, let's work backwards. Let's find the point A in our story. The point A in your story is, who were you before that moving moment? So if the moving moment you learned to be grateful, who were you before is probably someone who is not grateful. So work backwards to find the starting point, the A point. And if you put all of this together, you will notice that you have a structure of a speech. Who you were, then what was the conflict, what was the moving moment, the moment that changed you, and finally, what did you learn from that moment? So putting this all together, you now have a speech. The second thing you want to take note of is observe your timing. In an icebreaker speech in Toastmasters, we are given 4 to 6 minutes. And if you think about it, that's not a lot of time. We have a huge database of stories in our lives because we have experienced so many things. But the question is, how do we condense it down into a 4 to 6 minute speech? So here's the thing. The audience don't need to know everything that happened in your life. So that's why the best icebreaker speech is usually condensed based on one key message or one value you want to get across to your audience. So here's the thing. Stay focused with just one key learning message. And when it comes to writing your speeches, usually for a 4 to 6 minute speech, my recommendation is your word count should be anywhere between 550 to 650 maximum. Normally, what I will do is I will give myself 50 words lesser or 50 words more than the maximum time given. Because the maximum time is 6 minutes, right? So 50 words lesser, 550, or 50 words more, 650. And the reason why I do this is because typically our speaking rate is anywhere from 100 to 120 words per minute. So in order for us to give enough pauses and a good amount of pace in our speech, 50 words lesser or more is the ideal range. This is to ensure that we will speak within the time limit given. Number 3 is verbalize often. Now, whether you have written your speech or you have not written your speech, my recommendation to you is to verbalize your story, verbalize your icebreaker, because there's a key difference for writing for the eyes versus writing for the ears. Why do I say this? When we are speaking on stage, our audience do not have the opportunity to look at your speech. They do not have an opportunity to read your speech. So all they will be doing is listening. So why do you have to verbalize? When you verbalize your icebreaker speech, you will start to notice, hey, wait a minute, when I wrote this speech this way, it looks good when it's being written, but it doesn't sound like how I would normally speak. So when you're writing your speech, please remember to write for the ears. How would you normally speak this sentence, this phrase, this word? Is it something that you commonly use in your dictionary? If not, it is best to write something that you commonly speak. And please verbalize often so that you also not only speak for the ears, but also you have the opportunity to internalize your speech. So when you go on stage to present, because you have verbalized it often, it becomes second nature to you to deliver that story. As the saying goes, the best stories are not written, they are rewritten. The same case goes. The best stories are not told, they are retold. Last but not least, tip number 4 is express your story. Now, most of the time when we are presenting for the first time, we tend to report our stories. This is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, boom, finish, that's it. And when we report the story, there's very little emotions that go into it. It is almost like you're sharing data and facts about your life. But let's be real, if someone presented that way, would you be engaged? Most likely not, right? So the key here is expressing your story. This can come in a way of using emotions, or it could also mean adding dialogues and internal thoughts into your speech. By doing so, you are not just telling us the scenario, you are teleporting us into your speech to visually see what happens. For example, if I were to say, A, I was late to work because my car wouldn't start, versus B, I was late to work because my car wouldn't start. And I thought to myself, gosh, someone's getting fired today. Which one sounds more engaging? The second one, right? Because just by adding your internal thoughts or dialogues between characters, you are now creating a scene for your audience so they can see what's happening, hear what's happening, feel what's happening. So consider adding dialogues, internal thoughts, and share your speech with emotions. So there you have it, the 4-step formula. Find your moving moment, observe your timing, verbalize often, and express your story. And if you do this and follow the 4-step formula, I'm sure you will move your audience. Now, I want to reiterate this. This is your first speech. So don't be worried, don't be nervous, because again, your club wants you to succeed. So go up there and speak from the heart. Now, if you want to know how to prepare for your international speech contest, then you might want to check this video right here.